Thank you all for coming back from the coffee break. Council, if we're ready to continue, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we're ready to proceed. The witness is being ushered in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Mr. Camara.
Yes, thank you.
So on this day, Tuesday, 21st of March, 2006, you were arrested and taken to Mile 2 prison. You arrived there, you found Captain Yaya Dabo being processed for admission. You were received by W2 Koli Omar, called Jar Guide. And then what happened?
Lum match karoti morning kilingu ye samba Mile 2 kasola. Brief taraje ye Captain Yaya Dabo taraje anin ikafome ye ikafa ye Jar Guide bara atomu Koli Omar leti. Wale bentung kela kulu dada bitung biro be keta hanfo ye dundi konoto mune nata ke wokola.
Yes, also a process equally like that of Dabo.
What did that entail?
I was asked to undress. I undressed. They conducted a physical search on me. They've removed my ring from me, the silver ring. My wallet. My belt. My beret. My shoe. My combat boots. And this was booked. They were booked. And from there, I was taken inside to maximum security wing.
Maximum security wing.
Was there a warrant for your arrest?
No.
Honey.
Were you taken before a magistrate before you were admitted into the prison?
Samba kitindirla nyatilungla le magistrate jani be dundila kasola bang?
No.
Honey.
Was there a committal warrant to authorize your admission into the prison?
Fodum ye dundirlang kaito dadale committal warrant pour ka jeko inyantete dundila kaso kono menna. Fo dadata le bang?
No.
Honey.
Were you given access to a lawyer?
Fodum ye silo ditela le pour ye fansul lawyer ta.
No.
Honey.
Were you afforded a call to speak to your family and to inform them where you are?
Fodum ye nyim fanan silo dilale pour ye la dimbaya lu commande wala ibadi ngolu ka foye a nte dembe nyina kono mbe dinkira kari.
No.
Honey.
You were taken straight to maximum security.
Amunda yete samba la dinkirato ikafadame maximum security wala tanka bunda nyaton ko maramol la mutamol la karola.
That's correct.
You told us that you were received by WO2 Koli Omar, now a captain in the Gambia National Army, isn't it?
ñum foko me yeji aje ke la kolu topato ke dundi ke safe e ka fole koli Omar waran WO2 iko sayin wo mo captain olati Gambia la sojar bundala folemba.
That's so.
I take it that at this time he was also a soldier.
Yes.
What was he doing at the prison?
He was the one who was tasked. He was attached to the prisons.
Yeah, checking kasoto jele katara do kola je.
From where?
From the state guard.
Well, state guard is sojar me marlim nat by Bumbala.
And what was his role at the prison?
He was operationally responsible for all activities.
Tell Martin call membela
of the detainees at the state central prison in Mile 2. Those who were arrested during that period.
Who was he reporting to?
I believe he was communicating, he was having a direct link with state guard. And that he was receiving direct instructions from the president. And General Baji.
General Baji.
And General Baji.
And General Baji.
And any other person that may have bearings to, issues at Mile 2 from the State Guard Battalion.
Momo money money alonko ay kozoro me alonko be Mile 2 andung about State Guard Battalion atelem ni ka nyomoy.
So can you proceed about your stay there? What happened afterwards? You are now taken to security wing. You were there. What happened afterwards?
Sa intenten kolum tamata nyamin bundala je katu biri ye muta ye samba je ye jiaje itate samba maximum security wing silang biri ye futandi oto munimuna nyanta munimuna nata bulawo noma.
When those things were taken away from me,
biri no fengolta comme ngamenu fo jantem biri ol tambala.
I was marched into the maximum security wing.
Yensamba maximum security wing ndafata kenzang.
Then when we enter,
birundunda
standing at the main door of the block number 5,
birunloda bunda balto men block number 5,
I was taken to the extreme end of that block.
Yensambo bunyi na labangoto block number 5 la labangoto.
The row where those cells occupied.
Lainol me alon ko selo nyimbe wolto.
That's where I was put at.
Yendundi o selo nyinne kono.
One of the cells there.
Selo kilembe o kono yendundi o selo kilimo kono je.
It was dark inside.
Selo nyin kono be dibirim bake.
I don't know what was inside the cells.
Malon mune be nun selo nyim fan kono.
I was just pushed inside and the door was banged behind me.
Nyori selo nyin kono rong inarana bunda takinding from fe. Ya soron koma.
And they left.
Itata.
I was grouping to know exactly what was inside because the place was dark inside. I happened to touch Poncho.
Hold a second. We're missing that. What did you touch?
I touched something. It's just like, a piece of cloth.
A piece of cloth.
So, I think that was what was left in there. It was on a raised platform, sort of. So, which were representing the position of the bed. And that concrete slab, that's where I slept on. I slept on that.
Ngalla concrete ko ni kambe fetering.
What other facilities were available?
Silang ina ramum fendol le fanal dila larangoto.
Nothing else at that time.
Fendo ko tan teje o wato la.
there.
O drone benunje.
Because when I entered, it was dark inside.
Katum birung tumola men yendundi je wato jebe dibirim bakale.
Omar Koli and the others just opened the door.
Umar Koli ana nyongolo inarna bunda yele.
Pushed me inside and then banged the door.
Yenjori bunda yenjori bung selo nyin kono ro inara bunda takin dim fe ya soron itata.
So why was Omar Koli involved in that?
Munana Omar Koli dabe wokono.
Like I said, all activities that was happening then,
Kome nga fonu nyamen kol men betar tama kanu wato
Omar
la.
Koli was directly supervising them.
Umar Koli la ke mumot me alon ko atla ke ko nyi nyaton kaya.
He monitored everything that was happening.
Anda ka ko nyi be kuson son membe kering.
So if prisoners or detainees rather,
Ni mol la me alon ko be muto kono.
if they need to be admitted in the mile 2 that night,
Ninge tara mol muta me alon ko nyanne nat la mile 2 suto
Umar
la.
has to be there.
Umar fasi taraje.
Because he has to relay the information back.
Katum fasi ke baro nyi nchoki.
Inform them that these are the number of people arrested
Ke
as at.
kala mutandi ko nyi mo
particular
nangam ya nyul len mutani wati ka nangam ni wati nangam la.
Yes, that was his activity.
Walam kuoti.
And what happened the next day?
Oso modu munena take.
Following morning,
Sa mo somanda
I realized that
nganyin kala mutam fe ko
the whole block number 5 where I was
block number 5 mbenu ndamendo mtata sorondi ndamendo
informed. I came to realize that it has 99 cells.
nata na kala mutako selo nangamo mbe jara fo sel tan kono to nin kono to
And all those cells were filled
anu
in by personnel.
sel tan kono to nin kono to be tarta faari molle me alon ko tan ko bunda do kula mollem.
It's not only soldiers. You have civilians who were arrested.
Ko manke sojare kensol do hani civilian ol be jele selo nyin kono e be sorondi nje.
Then the following morning,
Sa mo somanda
as routine breakfast was served,
mala men ku ka ka nyame somanda e da samol tala
and then each of the cells,
selo
those that are responsible for serving the breakfast,
men nu tarta marlin nu da sama tala la
just place the basin nearer to the door.
e ka bolo nyin nat le do ya londi bunda dala je.
And the duty prison wardens will come and open and then
Prison do kula membe do kula ulungu nyina obina la selo yele
and give the basins to inmates inside those
ay na
cells.
bolo di o mari la membe o selo kono kunkili na o kunkila.
I want to talk about those things in separate dimensions. But if you
When
want me to make
when we talk about the conditions in the prisons, we will come back to this.
Okay.
So
Nimbe dia mula kolu Kenya la kasokono mbe murula na wokane.
but you were there, you woke up in the morning. Did anything happen that day or the next day?
Bitung ibije biri kuninda somanda fo kuketale walumbang fo alungo samo.
I can't fully remember dates, but
Akiro te
From that night, when-
bari olungo suto
from that night,
olungo suto
when I was brought in,
birin tumala men yennati kononto
up to the last date of their investigation,
fulu labango men ya lonko yela kunko yela kiskisoro ni kumfa
it was all full of events.
pe keta kuller me lonko kullel tamata ko o lungol kono.
Where people,
Take us through them
Ndundi wolu kono killing ye be satanye.
chronologically
Ibulata nyo no manyami.
as far as you can remember.
Ita hakilo sibula menula.
people were taken from their cells
Ikana ka molta ila selol kono
and they were being taken to the NIA complex
ke samba NIA sansan kono
for questioning.
kate samba nyini ngarol la
And then once they are finished with you,
ni parete mari bala
they are normally returned into mile 2.
si mari murundi nan kasi bumbato
So these were, events which were going on.
nyimlam kult me alon ko itata nun ka keje o wijo nyin kono.
Were you subjected to such investigation?
Olu inata ku kilim fo songole kete fanana ba.
Yes.
Could you tell us how it went?
Afanye wo keta nyadile.
Starting from the first day you went to these investigations?
Adamuta lum folo la lumen folo ye samba o kisikisiro kulu kama.
That was a night.
Suro do nana sotota.
I can't remember exactly which date.
Hakilo ta mutano lungu lungu mfang hakilo to lungu mutano bara suro nana sotota je.
I was inside my cell.
Menna selo kono.
Then I heard a noise outside.
Ngamma ka mo ibanda.
The door was opened
Bunda yeleta.
and my name was called upon.
Yen to kumande.
So I answered.
Ngandangko.
Then I was asked to come out.
Yen kanin ne ko nga findina.
This was by Umar Koli.
Men keta nyindi wala Umar Koliti.
What time of the day was this?
It was the night.
Watu juma la ngoti.
Suto.
What time of the night?
Suto watu juma.
I know it should be between 11, 12.
Kala
night.
talantan nin kilin kara talantan nin fula kan suto.
12 to 9, to 1.
Kara talan kilin kan suto.
So Umar told me, Camara, come out. So I came out.
Umar nar na fanya kamera na findita.
You mean Jagaid?
Jagai, yes. Jagai told me, Captain Camara, come out. I came
Wala
out.
jaga ita konya captain kamera na findina.
So immediately I stepped out, across the threshold of my room, cell door.
Tumala men ngan singo findindi ka findina selo nyin kono.
I was asked to put my hands behind my back.
Yen kanin ne ko ngambulol ken koto.
The hands were cuffed behind.
Yen nar nambulol siti koma.
And then I was asked to follow them.
Inata na fanya ko ngabule noma.
I followed them
Mbulate noma.
out of the maximum security wing, block number 5.
Mbota maximum security wing mem block number 5 te
Went to
bungulu nyaw.
where their conference hall is at.
Ila conference hall obe damendo.
So then I found a waiting vehicle around there.
Jeeto ngamoto taraje mem batondiro la ma fangola.
And a small bag, black bag,
Ba sa kunding botonding yalon ko ba kundin nam.
was placed over my head.
Inata na dunding kungoda.
Made of what, plastic or
No,
cloth?
this was
Ada
cloth.
muna la fole wala mfomu.
Cloth.
Abay malo.
Bay malam.
Then those people around
Menu be ma fangola.
assisted me to enter into that waiting vehicle.
Wal nara na ma ko yendundi moto nyin kono men tarta batondiro la je.
So we just went off from that place.
Data moto ye moto malan mbota je. Ntata.
As at then, I don't know direction where we are going to. I don't know where we are going to.
Hotembo la malo moto nyi ya ko ngoti ndame mfango fanna men.
When this cloth was being put over your head, where was Jagaid?
He was there.
Ribe nyimbo to bula le kumula jaga irbe min.
Ako abenu njele.
He was there.
Abenu njele.
Who else was present?
Jumal le kum fanam bije atakola.
Wait, as at then, I don't know
O wato la
the
malong
prison officers.
kasola dokula ka jumala beje.
I don't know them.
Melong.
Proceed, please.
Ente.
So we left.
Data.
As to where I was going to, I don't know then.
O wato la malong katanga ngolo dame to mafang.
All of a sudden, I heard a door or a gate being opened.
Jeto dong nata na kala muta ko bundale yele.
The vehicle entered through
Moto dunda o sansang kono.
and stopped.
Alota.
From there,
Abo jeto.
somebody assisted me to come down.
Modo nata na mdema pour ka ji moto nyin kono.
So I alighted.
Njita moto kono.
Then the bag was taken off from my
Nata
head.
na nyim boto nyim bondi kungoda.
I realized that I was at the, NIS complex.
Jeto nata na kala muta mfamve ko yara fambe na yela sansang le kono.
I was taken to the reception center.
Inata na samba ila reception sonda wala ka lundangol jia damendo.
And from there,
Ringo bota oto.
I heard somebody saying that the panel was set.
Nara na modo la moy akafo ko silang alpha kafo nyin meno dan nyin karo ni jabro kala ipareta.
And that I should be moved to that place.
Sai nyanna sambalo dingira nyin dole alpha kafo.
So I went in there
Data jeto.
with those escorts.
Nugo mol menu ben normal.
Because the place was saturated with soldiers with
Katung
weapons.
dingira nyin be ya be janjan ni sojarol ni kidi jawol la.
Then I was moved upward,
Inata nan selendi santo.
upstairs. So,
Bunjang santo.
and where the conference was located, I was taken to that place.
Tata o conference hall o nyimbe davento bungo nyimbe davento en sambaje.
While entering the conference hall,
Tumalamen nambe dun kam bunda nyinto conference hall nyinto.
I saw a table, a long table that was centrally placed.
Ngatabul jango taraje me alon ko ya londi temanteje.
This was surrounded from the, either flanks by chairs.
So tabulo nying ye sirangol fo sirangol le londa karta dangol ba.
And a chair that was facing towards the entrance, the door.
Anu ye sirang fana londe je narana londi ni be dunda bungo nyin kono.
This was where I was asked to sit.
E ko ngasi wo sirang nyin ne kan.
So I sat
Nsita
facing towards the east,
kay nyati len tilijiola.
flank on the either side, the panelists.
Nga nyati len nyi alfa ka fo molla.
And that was it. Question start raining.
And who were the panelists?
Ni karol commencé te ka fo ka boyin kan.
Jumañol le o panelist wolti men be siri wo table batuji.
I could remember the then Hydra was there.
Hakilo ba kan Hydra konton be nun jele.
What do you mean by the then Hydra?
The then Hydra, he's no longer with
ko
the...
Hydra men bije nu.
Koma game video kan.
Yes, Hydra
Ate Hydra
is no longer working with the NIA.
mantra do ko kan NIA bulu saing.
Hydra was there
Hydra be nun je
at that period,
o tembola
2006.
2006 sango kono.
It was said that he was the head of the NIA
Nyim fota nu ko atelam NIA la korda tioti.
because I could, I was made to understand that time
Ngay kalamutan la yen kalamutan nyin la ko.
that Dabamarena was arrested.
Ko e daba mare na yow mutale.
So that Hydra
Ko Hydra konton nyin
was in charge of the NIA then.
atel la tarta marlinung NIA la
He
wato.
was sitting to my right.
Abe sirin nim bulu bala.
And then you have Dembaso was also part of the panelists.
Demba so afana be o kafo nyin kono alfa nyi kafo nyin kono le mel be sirinje.
Dembaso works with the police.
Demba so wonim police o lebe do ko la police o le mati.
Then you have Lantombon Tamba was also there.
Lan tombon tamba afana be nun jele.
You have Usman Sonko was there.
Usman Sonko afana be nun jele.
You have Baba Sa was there,
Ina baba sa o so afana be nun jele.
and many other people.
Ne mo kotan kotan
Yes.
Ah. Mike.
Thank you. Do you have a copy of your statement?
Ila statement o yekuma kan safere mo men ke jang. Akaito be bulle ba.
Yes, I have.
Ah nga sota.
Could you take a look at it?
Ajibe ba.
Can you look at paragraph 11?
Paragraph 11 jibe sapatanin kilinjang.
Okay.
You have listed individuals.
Molu tolu be saferinje.
Yes.
Do you now have a recollection of people you indicated were there?
Sa ngi hakilo bulata mol la men yalon ko wolle bije nu wolum.
Yes.
Aha.
Would you go ahead, tell us who?
Sa en tenten ya fanya jumañol lem.
You have Hydra.
Hydra be je.
You have Baba Sao.
Baba sa o.
For the Bari.
O de bare.
The then IGP Usman Sonko.
Memnun police la kunton ko de Usman Sonko.
Lantombon Tamba.
Anton Bontamba.
Musa Jame.
Musa Jamme.
Alias Malia Mungu.
Ya lonning Malia Mungo le.
And so many unknown persons.
Ani mo kotan kotan me alon ko metol long.
Yes.
Ah.
How about Tumbul Tamba?
Yes, Tumbul was also there.
Tumbul fana be nun jele.
Tumbul Tamba was there.
Tumbul be nun tumbul tamba be nun jele.
You said Demba Sow was from the police.
Ya ko demba so bota police le.
You also had the Inspector General of Police.
Inspector General member police afana bije nu.
Usman Sonko, yes.
Usman Sonko ha be nun jele.
The head of the NIA was there.
Ina ela nyaton ko bije.
That was Hydra.
Wala mo Hydra.
The head of the army was also there.
Sojarol la nyaton ko bije.
Exactly.
Didn't this not look like a tripartite panel to
Funny
investigate this matter comprising of army, police, and NIA?
Fo nyi manke fe ko den na bundalo nyinti me yalon ko police, army, NIA and wolle la molo be kafri nyomaji.
Yes, it was.
Ah wala.
Okay. These other people you said you do not know.
Nyi mo ko tangul ko ikame ko ma menulong.
How were they dressed?
Ye mum fem façon nu le dung wotumo.
There are soldiers there.
Sojarol be kono le.
These soldiers, some of them were putting on this black.
Sojarol idol be je yenyim fengol le dum.
And others are putting on camouflage.
Dol be je wole camouflage le wala sojarol la imbayolde.
Yes. And then for the NIS, they were putting their normal civil attires.
NIL wol yela fengol le dum yanon ko name killing mol kamen dum.
Which branch of the soldiers of the army would wear black?
Sojarol la bunda jumanyol le ka fengol dum.
They are called the junglers.
Ka fo le jongulal.
And they can only be found at the presidential, palace, as the state guard.
And iki tarda men do woldo mun mansa korda ba do state house.
In essence, your testimony is that the junglers are a unit within the state guards.
Amunta ela kumo munyetik wo jongla solu wol fanalu be mansa korda kantala lekono e ka homene state guards.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us what happened at that panel and the division of responsibilities among the army, police, and the soldiers?
Saying
I'm sorry, the army, police, and the NIA.
Saying afonyeng wolumenu be bendinje ila luko talada keta nyadile meni alonko bunda labije army, police, and NIA.
Maybe I don't understand the question, but
tell us what happened. We would be able to discern the answer to that question from the answers you're going to provide.
So
when I was asked to sit down, I sat, facing towards the east, flanked by the panelists. Flanked by the panelists. And then questions start raining. Then they were asking me about my involvement in the coup. Initially, I told them that I don't know anything about the coup. And then I saw broken teeth on the table, small hammers, blood stains. And then they told me that, look, what had happened to others will happen to you. We are aware that you are the master planner of the school. I told them that was not true. Then a lot of people accepted that, I'm part and parcel of the coup. But that was what happened is that when they were questioning me, there was a man who was seated at the far end, at the far left, end of the table. He was asking me that I was part of the coup and that I'm the ringleader. I told him that that's not true.
Who was the person?
Huh?
Who was the person?
I'll come to that. And after that, immediately after that, Hydra also asked, he said, Camara, do you know that we are following your tail? We know your involvement in the coup. So before I could answer that, behold, that person who was sitting at that place came to my back, slapped me seriously. On the right, when I turned to look at the right, he gave me a nasty slap on the and scratched my eyelids Pressed my eyes inwards.
Nyal falinta.
Then from there he left. But there I couldn't see because I was struggling to see, to open my eyes. So he went and occupied his space. And therein again, questions were going, I was answering questions. Then the same person stood up. The same person wanted to come and hit me again. I had across the table, adjacent to him, that person said, Baba, stop. Then he said, Baba, stop in Mandinka. Baba Abula.
Okay.
Then he said, Baba Sao. He repeated again, Baba Sao, stop.
Another for Baba Sao, Abula.
So that was the time I know his name.
What all
Can you describe him?
Isa kalango fono nyebang.
Baba
kalango.
He's a short guy. He's
not
tall. And he's a medium-built person. He is black in color. He has a protruding down lip. The lip down is protruding downwards like this. And
which service did he work for?
He works with the NIA.
Proceed, please.
Then
that's the I knew his name. I was asked to go and write a statement. Admit that I was part of the coup d'etat.
Apart from the guy who said Baba Abula, that is the second attempt in which the person you called Baba Saho moved towards you. Did any other member of the panel say anything?
Na manke momenko manika kaunto Baba Abula fo umolu menu be sirinje fo mo do sotontale me ya lonko ay kumadu foje bang menning wo do lakota kilindi.
No.
Ani.
Proceed, please.
Tenteng.
While all these things was happening, directly opposite me, at the other end of the table, was a soldier sitting with, a heavy weapon. He was putting on this black. When the guys were reminding me that there are these hammers, bloodstains, and other things, he pointed his weapons to me. He said, if you don't talk, we'll blow off your head.
Could you recognize him?
No. Guys were dressed in black with a face mask on. So I can't. Like if he's nearer to me, probably when he talks. If he had been known to me before, I could have recognized his voice. But I can't recognize that. So I was there, I was asked to go for my statement to be obtained. I wrote, and then it was given to the panelists again. They said, no, I have to change that statement. And the statement was changed intermittent time, at different times.
Who in the panel said you must change the statement?
No, I can't tell, but the guy who was there was one saw from the police.
So kondong kilin be member of police la fanala.
Is it the same as Demba Sow?
No, not Demba Sow.
Ani amanke Demba Sow woti.
Another Sow from the police?
So dolem nyinti member of police.
I was made to understand that he is currently working with the Human Rights Commission or what?
Yeah.
He works there now. He's no longer with the police.
Ngayon kalamuda ko amanda police saying abidugola Human Rights Commission abidugola.
He will go with the statement and later come back. He said you must adjust your statement.
Atel ning ina statement no ning ngamen safe anakata anay murna ina fanya ko ibe inda fala jele ma ibe intalala jele.
Were you told what you should say in your statement?
Folum. Itellena ta kalimolu foye ka foye nyanta nyin kalimol le fole ila statement okon.
Yes, they said, yes, this was a coup, but it was a coup that wasn't implemented.
Ha, ekonyi mu coup d'etat libere. Coup d'etat le meya longo coup d'etat bayri ngole ngamang tama.
So in as much as it was in the making,
bar tumala men coup d'etat nyin tara tabi kanne ka.
In the planning process,
Abe ba fere kanne no.
That we should accept that we are part of it.
And then also
we should write at the tail end of our statements that we are pleading to the president so that he can release us.
And now kuma kan safero nyinto je nsai tandiji ala labandula ko silam president ombe danila yamfola.
So when we do that, they believe we will be released.
Ninga okay jigita nyinna ko ibembulalal.
Was that what you intended to do voluntarily?
Mukuleti meya lonko. Nyindung abete fango sondomo la kono pur kawoke ifango langani yoka.
No.
Ani.
Okay, and what happened afterwards?
When this thing happened, we were undergoing, psychological torture. We were denied visits.
3
months, that is 90 days incommunicado. When we asked, we were told that this is a degree, I think, for the NIA. Once you are caught, you will be kept in custody for 90 days without talking to anybody. So we were like that. From time to time, we'll be taken out from jail during the night. And be taken to Mile 2. I could remember a night.
You'd be taken from Mile 2 and taken to Mile 2.
No, taken from Mile 2 to NIA for questioning.
Mile 2 yen samba NIA pur kata nyinin kaje kotake.
I could remember a night when I was taken to NIA. Following the same process, a bag was put, placed over my head. So when we reached at NIA, I found many people there. Soldiers were there all over the place. And I also found some ladies there roasting meat. Then these were given to the panelists and the security guards there. So by 12 midnight, the ladies were asked to stop roasting and then pack off their things to leave. I could remember that night. Malik Jata at the reception came and stood before me.
What service did Malik Jata belong to?
Malik Jata be kanto bunda jumale lanu.
He was with the black.
What's the other name for the black?
To kotangu ka black tiol kumandi wala.
What was his rank at the time?
Watembo mum makamale babulu.
Malik, I don't know whether he was a sergeant or But he was other rank. He was a non-commissioned, you know, within the armed forces.
Bari non-commissioned makamu babul sojar kundar.
He stood before me and said, Captain Camara,
Captain Camara.
do you remember that you were the people who were training us at Farafenye? On military tactics. That we should defend and protect the sovereignty of the Gambia. And he continued to say that now that you are against us, that I'm going to treat you an enemy today. That's what he said. I look at him. While he was talking, he pointed his pistol at the direction of my head. So I looked at him in the face. I said, many people were calling here before me. And tonight I'm here. It is destiny. And here today I am. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? And these were the exact words that I told him. So from there, he left my position. Just few steps away from me, that was where 001 Alpha Bar was seated.
001 Alpha Bar tartanu sirin damendo.
He went and asked him the same. That why are you people against us? Then Alpha Bar told him that it is destiny. So that was it. Malik was serious the way he looked at us. You can see that frustration, that anger in his face. He stood there for a while and left. And then came back again with another soldier called Chairman. They were there looking at us, and stood in front of us. This chairman, I later come to know him to be Baji. Yes, Baji. When the ladies have packed and left.
What's his first name? Is it Amadou Baji?
Amadou Baji, exactly.
Amadou Baji.
This Malik Jata and Amadou Baji came where I was seated. My hands were cuffed at the back. So they lifted me from my chair and took me just, at the wall where at the side of the building where the wall is at. And continuously hit my head against the wall. So they had repeatedly done that. And from there, they moved me to where they used to beat people. And then I was taken to that place. I do not know exactly the position, but it's at the back of the NIA building. From the reception, you will to the left. Then at the back here, I believe. My legs were cleared off from me, at the back. I fell on the ground that night. And then no sooner I fell down the ground, then, sticks started raining on me. Beating me everywhere, mercilessly. So if I turned,
at this stage, do you know who was beating you?
I don't know.
Malo.
I can't, because
Talo
the
no.
place was dark.
Kanu dingira nyimbe dibirine.
It's as if the place was surrounded by these soldiers.
Da amunda velo ko dingira nyinga bebe murulu ni soja rolela.
You know, I was pushed like this, and then they clamped, you know, my legs at,
Ye nyori le droina na simul kolobo sinkoro.
So I fell down on the ground,
Boyta buduma.
and the guys were beating me seriously.
Nyimol na kumase damu
So
da
if I
kanlipa.
turn like this, they beat.
Ni
If I turn
nyati
anyway,
nyawo nyara ni nyama kanlipa woro.
so finally I had to just, you know, be on my, you know, stomach.
Nya labango nyi na ngam biding kono.
Otherwise, you know,
Karu ni wonde.
they can destroy my eyes.
Asi yeno e nyati nya.
And you know, the other, you know, important parts of my body.
Anin bala dingira dol menyo
Apart from sticks, what else did they use to beat you?
Dokolu kola hakiloto ye mum fem façon dol leta ye lipa menna.
The junglers have this, I think, a wire that is insulated on plastic and have its two ends.
Jongular njikita nyina ko ye fansum busol soro me alon ko waya lembari fo lelle be minimindi bala aduma lateng.
At the two ends of this, you know, that whip
Ala nyi buso nyi ala nengfulo nyi
has metallic fittings.
ay ne wala soto.
This was what they were also using, beating us.
Ki muna fanni nyina la ka molli ba nyina la.
So I was beaten there seriously.
Ye lipa je ning ba ka fam.
Screamed on up to an extent that I can no longer shout.
Fo ye lipa fo wati la me alon ko mbuko wuri no fam.
You know, my body all over laceration, cuts here and there.
Ko kono be farata wuduta.
My front, this side also the same.
Nyati le fana be ku kilingo.
I had a voice saying that stop.
Ngam kango moy mo menara na fo alabula. Wow, come to stop.
So they stopped.
Inata na ibulolo.
I couldn't get up.
Ma wuli no kalo.
Then two people came again to assist
Sikita
me.
mo fula nara na kande ma ka wulindi.
Got me up
Ye wulindi.
and then took me where the vehicle was parked at.
Yen samba moto nyimbe damen.
On my way going with those guys,
Tembo men na nyimo fulo tara kan samba.
one of the soldiers there, Mustafa Sane,
Soljaro do beje ga fa Mustafa Sane
was my class.
na class le made na le do karam kenyola.
We all trained together at the Zanamori Training School in Bakau.
Nze zandarmori karam kenyola le Bakau training school oro.
He was also part of the junglers.
Ada fananda tarata nu njongula le konole.
This Baji, Sane rather, turned around.
Nyin Sane nya koma fele.
He said, Captain Camara. I said, yes.
Ako Captain Camara nka namu.
Started beating me.
Kumase kan lipa.
I told him that, look, class, I was beaten. He said, no.
Kaya ko class wala nkaranyo ye lipa le kaya hani.
Is this small for you?
Odoya ta ene yemenkela.
In fact, these days we are coming to get you. We will kill you.
Kaya ko Sane kaya ko nyilungol fankon kane no mal be falal.
This was his words.
Nyine mu ala kuma kangol te ay mem.
I was taken to the vehicle.
Yen samba moto nyindo.
I saw, I think, MC Cham. He's a tall,
Njikita nga MC chamle je mo jangolam
small built-up person.
mo le melan ko jam fata do manding.
And then he was also asked to go towards the direction where I was coming out. And they were pushing him.
Fanan keta mo le melan ko kaya ko pura eta fanna lan ka bonam fanna men dan wi ba tata ka nyorile.
So I went inside the vehicle. They assisted me to get in.
Ndata yemma ko ndema yembula ndi moto nyin kono.
Then I saw Alpha Bar also.
Alpha Ba fananje.
Blood was coming all, every part of my body.
Yellow tarta findi abalo.
From the head to the toe, blood.
Kungoto foduma be yellow tarta findi abalo bala.
Myself.
Defan kunno.
So we left.
Ndata.
We are taken to Mile 2, State Central Prison.
Data Kasibumba, Mile 2.
At this stage, had you already signed a statement?
In Tembo, 4 years le kuma kan safari mo make a 5 statement. Yes, sign le utumo bang.
From day one up to that day, I have been signing statement. I have been changing statement. I have been signing statement.
Bo lungola full labon yin tarta ka kuma kan safen ke filing ke sign.
Did you sign any statement after you were beaten?
Yes.
Liparingo kola. For a statement do sign leba.
Ha.
We want to understand how these statements were generated.
lafta fahamulale ite lanyi statement lu kuma kan saferengulu
who played what role in the generation of these statements?
Jumale mun kuta mandi wo kuma kan saferengulu dada karola.
Like I said, a panel was instituted. You go to that panel, being questioned, and then from there, there are people assigned to obtain statement from, the accused. And once that statement is taken from you, is obtained from the accused, the officer who would either write or be present in you, the person who's writing the statement, will now carry that statement to the panelists. They will read. After reading it, if they are not satisfied with anything, they will ask you to remove that. That will be through that medium. Then the guy will come to you and ask you to either delete or add something to that statement. So that's how it was. But all these things happening were not done in the presence of an independent witness.
We would come to that. But the junglers, do they have any role to play in this?
That's
the beating. That's the psychological trauma. Frustration that was going on during that period. Our people were tribally dealt with.
How is the conduct of the junglers placed into this scheme? How is it juxtaposed with other actions that were taking place?
Jongla solo ila kebaro luni manya aninyi nkolu ye munimun leke wokolu kono meni alonko woleta mata o dinkirato ite lalodu la mumuneti.
You see, in a disorganized society, and in a disorganized, formation or setting, the junglers, to my perception, did not have control as to where they should be permanently placed at. They can move from one place to another. They can do anything that nobody at that place can stop them from doing.
But for the purposes of this investigation, what was the exact role of the junglers?
Put people out of confection.
Could you say that again?
Yes, to accept, to confess.
Okay. Let's get this. You have a panel comprising of police, military, and NIA. What was the role of the police in this?
They are part of the investigation team. What
work would they do as part of the investigation team?
They ask questions.
And what else?
And obtain statements.
How about the military?
The military will also ask questions, those who are part of the panel.
How about, you indicated that while you were sitting there, there was a soldier sitting right opposite you, pointing a gun at you.
Nyum foko ibe sirin je tu momena. Sojaro be sirin men nyabe telindi itela adum kido babulu membe telindi itela wutumo.
Was that part of the normal modus operandi?
Fo fanan dabe ila kuolu Kenya konole eka kuolu tamandi nyame.
No.
Ani.
It wasn't.
Ani, wadata kuo nyinkono.
Was that the way they did things? Or was it only applicable to you?
Ika kuolu ke wala nyama kuolu wato bebang. Fodung yoke ite damande la kuokam.
Well, I can't say for certain
whether it has
applied to others.
But
during the time I was being questioned, that was what had happened.
And the NIA guys, okay, no, let me take it a step backwards. During your interrogation, were there other people who were armed with guns around?
I
think almost all the soldiers from State Guard were armed.
Including
the junglers.
The environment in which these investigations were taking place, how would you describe them? Was it friendly or what?
Amonta ila kolu tamandinya mosafono ka be nyanyima nyale mabang fodundal abe sangararin.
It was hellish.
You said it was hell. How did you feel?
Very bad. It wasn't friendly to anybody. The atmosphere was terrible.
Were you scared?
Yes, I was.
Terrified.
That's true.
So you have the NIA. What were they also doing in the panel?
They were also part of the people asking questions. Like I said, Baba slapped me. He was part of the NIA then. But now currently he's with, I don't know, the embassy at Guinea-Bissau.
And the junglers, did they have anything to do with people who were being interrogated, the people who were being questioned?
Jongla solo. Fo Italia kusotole ikamenta mandi mola karola ibe menyininka kangutumo.
Yes.
And what was it?
Tumbultamba will come in.
Tumbultamba obinala.
From time to time, I'm going out. I think he was the guy who was sending signals to the president then. Tumbultamba was the head of the junglers then. Malik. There is one Baji also, I forgot his name. We are all present. And other junglers. But what they do is, for them, they will not be asking questions. They will just be intimidating. And then, and then they will tell you that if you don't talk, we'll kill you. You think we are joking here? There are people who came before you here. They have mentioned you. Why are you? So their presence in the whole theater was just to harass people. Physically or psychologically.
And how would they do it physically?
And it will call Kenyadi le ning inyanta kuta mandila.
You, kicking you,
Ibedam fula,
using hammer on you,
lipa martola,
or using these plastic bags. And any other forms that they use as their method to harass their...
Sila o sila la me alon ko si munna fanno la pour ka je ko rong itol be ibe tajire yala rong ke e maslang.
Did any of these things happen to you?
Fo wol be ku sotontale menu ay ketetale bang ye menu foten.
The guy who was seated in my front
Nyimmo men TRRC nyati lingola
was a jungler.
Jongula la.
He gun pointed, like I said, to me and then said that if you don't do this,
ay chodi kinola kidola ko men ngafunu nya ko ko ni man diam be fala janne be ko
Malik Jada and Baji.
Malik Jada and Baji
were the people who hit my head against
Wollem keta molde me alon ko en ngota ya fadini bungo bala.
They are also part of the junglers.
Bi do fanang molde me alon ko jongulal le muti.
And then it was the jungler groups that
jongula ka fo mol wollamu
beat me at the back of
tolen samba ko ma fanam yelda ina elo bungo ko ma tarta yembuteje.
What I am trying to drive at is
nga kata kan kafuta memma wolem
what is the connection between the beatings carried out by the junglers and the actual investigation by the panel? What is the connection?
Munam chokinyoloti wo liparo jongla solie menke anin wo nyininkar lalu menu be o panelo kono wo nyininkar kafo munam ila chokinyoloti mune ye kafu nyoma.
I don't know whether I can give you a short answer there.
Malom fonzi jabe sutundino la wotoba.
The connection is
chokinyolo membeji wala mnyindi
the Gambia at then
Gambia o wato
people want to see their heroism
mol lafta kila fatiyaje
to the president.
Ay president yala
kela fatiya itandi president wala.
Exactly. The only way they can do that
isi o keno nyasi o menyama
is for their actions to speak volume for them.
Wala mila barol nying ya itandi.
So they will go into, like, if an assignment is given to them, they will go and then act. Some will take photos, send it to the president. So their connection.
Could you take that in? Some will take what?
Photos, videos. And then send it to the president.
Videos of what?
Of the torture and killing of their culprits. Were
the beatings an integral part of the statement-taking process?
Fol fana mukuleti me ya lonko adabe wo kisikisiro wala nyininkaro do ko nyim fonkono.
Yes, I would say that. Beating was part of, the statement.
I want an honest answer from you.
Lafita nyininkaro la memmo tonya jabiroti mensi boybulu.
Were the panel members aware that the suspects they were interviewing were being tortured by the junglers?
Wolem nyintiko womolu melnu ibe nyininka kan wonya fo nyininkar kafo ya lonne ko tonya kan nyil melnu nyininka ten ike butele.
That's true. That's the fact. When I was beaten, the other night I was at the conference hall. Then Colonel Tamba, I think he was then a colonel. Colonel Tamba was passing. Going to the conference hall. That's where the investigation panelists used to be positioned at. So if you are passing us at the reception, when you want to go to the conference, you must pass through the reception. And he was aware that I was beaten. Yes. So the panel members...
How was he aware that you were beaten?
There's nothing hidden. In NIA, in that period, nothing hidden. Because if you are beaten, you will not be, they will not just put sponge on you, rub you just like somebody who's helping you. You will be beaten mercilessly. And then, You will be shouting everywhere, all over the place. So he's aware. He knew that I was beaten. My face was swollen. Bruises, cuts everywhere. And the uniform, because then there was no visitor for me. The uniform that I was arrested with was all smelling. I cannot open my eyes that following morning. Because when I was taken back to mile 2, I went into my cell. The following morning, in fact, people were there who assisted me. The one who pushed me inside the cell. So in the morning when I took my bucket to go and empty it in the bathroom, I could remember Sirif Diba. Because like the time I was going, those that are within the Kampama area, when they saw me coming, within the corridors, I sat down in their cells. They don't want to see me in that condition. So I met Sirif Diba at the bathroom area.
Which Sirif Diba are you referring to?
Sirif Diba Jumalema.
The former leader of NCP.
Sirif Mustafa Diba.
Sirif Mustafa Diba.
Proceed, please.
He said to me, Mbakoko, hey, are all these things happening in the Gambia? And that was it. I just laughed.
What was he referring to?
My face was swollen. Blood stains everywhere. I couldn't even open my eyes properly. That's the condition. My body, my arms were all cut. Lacerations everywhere. So I think he was shocked with that situation in which
But that beating was part of the statement taking process. That's what you testified.
That was after my initial statement. And this other, the beating that I'm now talking about, was also after the video recording. Yes.
Prior to the video recording, were you beaten?
video tala ke video nyendo. Utumo ye lipale.
No.
At that stage, well, the video recording, was it before Baba Saho slapped you and scratched your face and all that?
That was
video
tatu momena le janim Baba Saho be ilipala ke nyada ngoroti.
That was before.
That was before the video.
Yes.
What was the impact of that on you, considering you are being questioned?
I munasabuima ka foko wotembo be nyinin kakane.
That they were forcing to, obtain confession from me. Video, the slap, the stains that were on the table, it, other things, was just to force me psychologically.
At what stage did you give a confession?
It was during that moment, because anytime I appeared before the panelists, I'll be asked to go with this song to obtain another day I'll be called upon now to alter that statement.
Did you have a discretion to put in this statement what you wanted?
No.
Ani.
Could you explain that? Why did you say no?
The normal investigation will allow you to put on paper a statement That is giving a clear narrative of events that you have taken part or you are a witness to. So this one was a different thing altogether. You know, from the panelists, you can in fact, you know, see the angle that they were driving at. I think they are bent to satisfy the wishes of the former president. So they will do everything possible to satisfy him.
And you said earlier they would do anything to get a confession from you.
And when you command, a jareta ye kuo kundin ketela purka ite sondi kumakangola ye memfo.
That's true.
In your own case, on this particular instance, did you confess voluntarily to treason?
Ite fonga la Carola. Silandung ite fonga nata sonne ifonga ye ko ite fonga dabe o jamfa jawkuno.
No.
Ani.
And the confession that was recorded of you?
Saying itel nata kumakango men safe ite la Carola ko ite memfo.
How was it obtained?
Yo soto ite bulu nyadile.
I was forced to make that. And then if you check that video clip, it was audited. And then they only relay that which suit them. And that was it.
The commission has the video. It is about 1 hour, some minutes long. We won't play it now, but the commission would have the opportunity to look at it afterwards, except, of course, if the chair wants segments of it to be played now.
Video commission ya sotole. Yo nta fintindi la sign de pruka jube. Bari bitung atata la hanfo montoro wati mume video nyin na jamfo. Bari asake commission se dinkralu dolu jube no le dameni alon ko be lafla kaje.
But it is significant that in the video you said that you were not beaten to make that confession. Was that true?
Akumayata bake video nyin kono ka foko imete forcé pour yew
imete bouté
imete bouté pour kaw kuma kango lu fo bitu ngabe lari wala nyama bang video nyin na kuma kango.
I think that's not true. It
was something. Maybe we'll play a segment of the video, Mr. Chair, and let the witness comment on the video, with your permission, of course.
Nincha man sonta mbe video nyin na fanna do play la pour ite famo yaje isina femfo wo koto ila jeroto.
Let's play a bit of it and then you would comment.
Na do bondi ya jube den isina diam.
Can we have the OV van play the video of the GRTS confession of Captain or then Captain Wassa Camara, starting from 40 minutes 22 seconds.
Alamuta minute tanani second mu anni fula mbe video nyim fintindila menketa Captain Wassa Camara la kuma kangoluti ya menta video nyin kono.
Officer commanding the military police unit. My present rank at this stage currently is a captain. My knowledge about the coup plot. Initially, I was called by the CDS, that is Colonel Nurcham.
Could you stop it? Could you stop it there? This is clearly a confession, isn't it, Captain?
Nyemu song kumakangoleti Captain Fonte.
Major now.
Yes, Major lemuti.
Could the OV van move it to about the timestamp 1 hour?
saying ilafta Obi Van ya samba aka tembendi watu fe montoro wati kilimo.
Has the fuses or not. But when I realized that this man was lying, that he did not probably discuss anything with Mr. Njai pertaining to the fuses, I said to him that there is no use. So I told him, let him not go to the airport. Let him go back to his house. Yaya was posted to 2nd Infantry Battalion, 2 Infantry Battalion, and then redeployed back to 1 Infantry Battalion just recently. I think that was on Monday he reached office. You know, when I spoke to him at that place, he said the reason of his being transferred was in line with the coup plot. To be frank with you, since the day I came in here, that is on the 22nd, I came here on the 23rd rather. No, on the 22nd, I think. I came here on the 22nd. My first statement was on the 22nd. Since that very day, I came to this place, that is NIA office, up till today. I was never being insulted, slapped, beaten, tortured in any form whatsoever by anybody. All that I was asked to do is to, feel free, relax, and explain briefly or vividly what has transpired.
Thank you, Obi-Wan. Is this true?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Why did you say this?
Yes. If you check, the video clip was edited. You can see it will jump. Typically, if you are somebody who is mindful of video clicks, and you probably you are an expert in the investigation procedures, you will easily detect that because the intention that was expressed by those people behind the screen said that this is the only way we can persuade the president.
Council, can we see this last piece again, where he is saying, we see clips, the version doesn't show any addition. Yes. If you can just bring that back again, and then we see if that would corroborate what Mr. Camara is saying, that it was edited, and then you see clips in it.
Go back to 1 hour of the video. Obi-Wan, go back to 1 hour of the video.
Njai, pertaining to the fuses, I said to him that there is no use. So I told him, let him not go to the airport. Let him go back to his house. Yaya was posted to 2nd Infantry Battalion, 2 Infantry Battalion, and then redeployed back to 1 Infantry Battalion just recently. I think that was on Monday he reached office. When I spoke to him at that place, he said the reason of his being transferred was in line with the coup plot. To be frank with you, since the day I came in here, that is on the 22nd, I came here on the 23rd rather. No, on the 22nd, I think. I came here on the 22nd. My first statement was on the 22nd. Since that very day, I came to this place, that is NIA office, up till today. I was never being insulted, slapped, beaten, tortured in any form whatsoever by anybody. All that I was asked to do is to, feel free, relax, and explain briefly or vividly what has transpired. And this was exactly what I did. And then that is it.
And Captain Yahya Dabo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a convenient point, I guess, to stop for the break, Mr. Chair. Except if you want me to pursue this line of questioning. We are in your hands.
We should take the lunch break now and then come back at 2:30. Is that okay? Okay, fine. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. We'll go for a lunch break.
Dear viewers, my name is Sirandao. I am a member of the African Network Against Extrajudicial Killings and Enforced Disappearances, ANECED. ANECED is a civil society organization that advocates for justice for victims of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. We work in the Gambia and in Ghana, and our hope is to get across Africa in the fight for justice for victims of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. We are here today to bring you a series of discussions. A discussion that we believe is very, very important in the transitional justice process in the Gambia, particularly as we are approaching the end of the TRRC sometime next year. We believe that it is very important to start looking at expectations around what happens after the TRRC, how prepared are we, and what are the plans to make sure that our Never Again slogan is fulfilled. The discussions is going to be a 4-part series. Part 1 will be focusing on religion and forgiveness. As a nation, we are not a religious state. However, this country is inhabited by religious people. Over 95%, so to speak, are religious in the areas of Islam and Christianity. So we believe the flavor of religion, it plays a very important role in our lives, birth to death. And of course, in the situation that we have been in, religion has been a major player in how the last 22 years of Yahya Jammeh's rule and how we are going to be moving forward will pan out. Part 2 of the series will talk about forgiveness, history, and healing, because we believe that our history, what has happened, our context is very important in this process. Part 3 will focus on accountability and religion, where we're exploring the relationship between accountability and religion in this country, looking into talking to our religious scholars as well as our legal experts in the country. And to end the series, we'll be talking about accountability, history, and healing, exploring once again the context of our history in terms of accountability for human rights violations in this country. The conversations will end with a conference in Dakar, Senegal, focusing on the future of accountability in Africa, because we believe that Senegal, as our closest neighbor and the same country almost, had played a major role in our past and will continue to play a major role in our future. And in the transitional justice process, Senegal is a key area. We'll be collaborating with religious experts, legal experts, psychosocial specialists, as well as academia, and the very key players, some of the very key players in the transitional justice process in the Gambia, including the TRRC, the UN system, the National Human Rights Commission, the University of the Gambia, and more. We invite you and indulge your attention in this very important discussion as we kick off part 1 today. Thank you.
I think it's extremely important that we have a conversation on the transitional justice process, especially what are the expectations after the TRRC process. I think it's extremely important that we have this conversation right now, and starting with religion and forgiveness. Religion is extremely important. As you know, we start all our sessions with prayers, Christian prayers, Muslim prayers. And as you indicated, the Gambia is a very religious society, not necessarily Muslim or Christian. So very important in every discussion that we're having now. Very important to what happened here, in terms of whether this was recognized or not, and extremely important for the future of this country. So very important indeed. Unfortunately, even before the coronavirus, even without the coronavirus, that would not have been feasible. However, we have put in place structures as we speak right now that are working to kind of manage and analyze the data that we have towards the idea of putting together the final report. We expect that there would be recommendations for prosecutions. We have been conducting a lot of interim reparations activities, from medical support to educational support to employment support to livelihood support, and that is ongoing and it will continue to go. And at the end of the day, we are going to be recommending institutional reforms too. The prisons, for example, is one institution that has come out very, very strongly in our hearings and the evidence that we've gathered so far, and there will be recommendations for institutional reform. But one of the things that the TRRC was aware of, or has been aware of from the very beginning, is that you can't depend on recommendations for the success of a Truth Commission process. So as a result of that, we've been carrying out all of these outreach activities, women's outreach activities, going to schools. We have a Youth and Children's Network unit that visits schools across the country. So we expect that at the end of the day, the government, whichever government is in place, will implement the recommendations of the TRRC. And we expect that if they don't do that, if they try to put the recommendations on the shelf to gather dust, they will have a fight on their hands, because people cannot spend 2 years or more of their lives, engage hundreds of Gambians, feel the pain of the victims, and then you have a government that would not be interested in implementing the recommendations. Personally, I will be there to assist, to make noise, to fight that the recommendations of the TRRC are implemented. I might not be able to do much, but in association with like-minded individuals and associations, the expectation of the TRRC is that whatever government is in place at the time will implement the recommendations of the Commission. We are determined that the TRRC report is not going to gather dust on the shelves of a government. It will be known, the contents will be known by the people, and we expect that Gambians will stand up and insist, alongside the victims' community, that the recommendations of the Commission are implemented. And so any government that is in place at that point in time and wants to ignore the report of the TRRC, like I said, we'll have to do some struggling to do that. In terms of preparations, there are lots and lots of things to do. We have had over 200 witnesses now who have appeared before the Commission. There are at least 1,000 statements, 1,000 other witnesses whose statements are with us that we are processing. So as of now, we have taken a number of concrete steps towards the making of the final report. One of them is a newly set up unit. It's a proofreading unit. We have a transcription unit. We are hiring data analysts to help, make sense of the data we have. So there is a lot of work going on as we speak, and failure is not an option. In terms of reconciliation, as you know, we have been doing a lot of reconciliation activities, and post-TRRC, I hope that will continue. In terms of amnesty, there will be some procedures for application for amnesty. I guess the chair of the amnesty committee, who is Bishop James Odiko, is working closely with the legal team to come up with some kind of guidelines to make that possible. So reparations is also in advanced stages of preparation. So essentially those are the preparations in place right now. It is outside our jurisdiction, prosecutions. There will be recommendations of prosecutions. There is no doubt about that. Some people will be recommended for prosecutions. Otherwise, the whole TRRC process would be a waste of time. However, regarding the modalities for reparation, for prosecutions, the Commission has been pushing back against partners who want to get us involved in that kind of conversation. We declined to participate in that because we don't want our integrity to be compromised. We will do our work, and we will recommend prosecutions. And it would be for the international community and for the Gambian society, the Gambian public, to look at the modalities and to ensure that those recommendations are carried out. So, but as far as what form it would take, how it would happen, we have deliberately stayed away from that conversation just to make sure that our neutrality and integrity of the Commission is respected, because once a government is able to say, oh, you were already with them before you finished, then they might have an excuse not to do what they need to do, and we don't want that to happen. Yes, so before COVID-19, we actually have a work plan, and we were going to finish the hearings in the first week of October. That was the deadline for the final hearings, and then we'll concentrate on working on the final report. Then the first suspension came of the public hearings, and we lost 2 weeks of public hearings, so we pushed the work plan, the deadline, back to the end of October as opposed to the beginning of October. But now again we have this suspension of the public hearings, and we haven't really reworked the work plan yet. But initially the idea was to finish the public hearings in October, and then maybe take 3 months in 2021. So that would have taken us to March 2021 to finally submit the final report. As it stands now, I'm guessing that might not be possible either, for reasons beyond our control. So I had a meeting with an expert from the ICTJ, 2 of them actually, from the International Center for Transitional Justice, Howard Varney, about 2 weeks ago, and he sent us some kind of recommendations, and very realistically, I think we might be stuck with the TRRC at least until June 2021. I hope and pray that we are able to finish everything by then.
I am Adam Ajalo. I am the National Coordinator of the Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violation. Why do we start this process now in terms of being aware that TRRC would end this year or early next year? I think that's a very good question, because looking at having a wider dialogue with different stakeholders comprised of victims, non-victims, civil society groups, and other institutions is very crucial, because we don't have much time left. And I think it's good at this process that we start dialoguing and discussing the way forward in terms of what the expectations would be. And when it comes to the recommendations submitted by TRRC to government towards the end of the year or early part of next year, we would have already known what our actions would be as an institution and collectively what we wish we do. So the expectations of our institution and also for victims are varied. Expectations varies per individual victim, and collective, if you look at it on the average, most of them would expect reparations, and most other would also look at justice. I think those are some of the key areas that have been highlighted by some of the victims that we have interacted or have interviewed, or looking at their profiles. They talk about reparation, being compensated. Some also want justice. As an institution, it's a platform to advocate for justice, reconciliation. And we take in cognizance of what they have been saying, because they're the ones that have been affected. For us as an institution, our expectations are the TRRC submits to government the recommendations, and expect that government will implement the recommendation, what the recommendation entails. We have projects that are geared towards those kind of issues. Key among them is the National Assembly members, because especially the Human Rights Committee of the National Assembly, those are groups that we are going to talk to in our advocacy platform to see how best they can also support in terms of ensuring that the recommendations that have been put forward by the TRRC to government are adhered to. Not the one that is similar to the Janneh Commission. We don't want white papers to be issued. All we want is to implement the recommendation as per what is recommended by TRRC. So we have those institutions. We are also going to work closely with the Human Rights Commission to see that when the recommendation comes, we will work together. We will work with civil society. We are also going to mingle and discuss with the security forces. So we are going to engage them, and we're going throughout the community, up and length of the country, to discuss in length with regards to what we expect from them, because it's what we expect from them that is what we would also put as per waiting to look at the recommendation, because some of them may want to see justice, obviously, especially those that have been really touched. Some of them would want to see reparation. Yes, the government has given a token amount of funding for reparation, which is a drop in the ocean. but we expect more. We have series of activities in the Africa Legacy Fund, which we have secured recently. It's because of the COVID-19, that is why we still on hold on some of the activity. But we're looking forward, perhaps by September, October, we would now start the sensitization using both the media as well as having focus group discussions with a lot of victims. I want to thank you because I think this initiative is very laudable. We hope we would achieve something, and I saw that you also want to partner with our sister country, Senegal, which is basically because Senegal also played a key role in the Jammeh, in Austin Jammeh out from this country. We know many people that were tortured, some people that were victimized by Yahya Jammeh's government. Many people ran and they were housed in Senegal. So Senegal is a country that we would definitely want to work with, and I am very happy that I saw that you will be working with them. And I also hope that this outcome would definitely help in terms of the expectations of the TRRC, because people are watching, like I always say, as a watchdog, as an institution, we're watching government. Like I said initially in my introduction, I said white paper, where it can happen in the Jammeh Commission, but not with the TRRC. We don't expect that. If it happens, it will bring a lot of mistrust and it will bring a lot of setbacks. So we hope that it will be neutral, government will play neutral, and then allow partners, people like the Victim Center, Anake, and the Human Rights Commission to come in to play in terms of address. If not, then it will defeat the purpose of the TRRC.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa sallam. Seen mbokk al-Imam Ousmane Mohamed Dia di imaamu Masjidu Taqwa di Amirul Hajj. Suñu specialisation mooy Sharia expert lañu. Ñu ngi njëkk a kontaan ci seen jéego bu am solo bi. Jéego nite la. Su boobaa nag li nga xam ne mooy seen laaj bu njëkk mooy ñu define maanaam li leen yitteel mooy baale waaye li ñu njëkk a def mooy suñ buggee treat any subject buñ ci buggee waxtaan dañoo war a njëkk a define subject matter bi. Baal suñ ko waxee ci buntu sharia mooy l'islam suñ waxee sharia nag mooy loi yi nga xam ne moom la l'islam di jëfandikoo suñ ko waxee mooy ni ko wolof waxee mooy baal bàyyi lu doon sa àq maanaam nit ki nga xam ne wér na ne dañ ko tooñ sharia may na ko mu fayu walla mu nangu mu delloo tooñaangeem su boobaa nag su fekkee moom nag daf ko baxal maanaam dafa bàyyi àqam ji ci ki ko amee loolu moom la ñuy tuddee forgiveness mooy baxal mooy loo xam ne la su ko neexoon mu jël ko su fekkee fayu lay doon walla alal juñ koy delloo la walla duhut alal juñ koy delloo waaye punishment buñ waroon a def ki amee àqam mu ne man léegi bàyyi naa ko loolu moo tudd baal ci sharia. Ñaari mbir moo fi ne àddina bi mu taxawee ba tey mooy mbaax ak mbon. ñu tooñ la nga ñu delloo la sa àq moo xam benn ñu punish ki la tooñ walla mu delloo la àq ji su fekkee àq juñ mën a delloo la muy alal walla lu demee noonu sharia nangu na ko te ku ko waxit duñ la bileem nit kuñ tooñoon tey waaye li yoonu sharia wax mooy dañ la war a duma walla dañ la war a tëj walla dañ la war a rey masalan nga ne waaw nañ def li sharia wax soo ko waxee kenn du la bileem waaye sharia na am na lu ko gënal mooy jéggale bële nangu nañ ko waaye jéggale moo gënal sharia ndax bële su fekkee ne defal nañ la li nga bëgg loolu rek mooy sa fay waaye soo jéggalee léegi nag yàlla moom mooy méngoo sa fay moo tax soo ñëwee ci baal tur la ci turi yàlla yi waaw yàlla mu ngi tuddee boppam afu mooy jéggalaakoon mooy ki dee bale yàlla nag lépp lu tuddee boppam ngëneel lay doon su boobaa képp ku jël melow yàlla woowu nit ku baax lañ koy tuddee nit ku am ngëneel la waaye dafa jafe moo tax yonent bi sallallahu taala alayhi wa sallam yàlla daf ko digal ne ko deel bale mooy man ngaa jot sa àq de waaye nga bale moo ñu gënal ba tax na bon bu boobaa bale luñ tagg la ci lislaam borom ku ñuy tagg la te ku ñuy gërëm la te ku yàlla dikk fay gu rëy la wax na sax rot na ci alquranul karim yàlla di tagg boole ci wal aafina ani naas nit ñi nga xam ne suñ meree dañ koy mën a swallow up ba du tax mu feeñ sax ci seen kanam wala ñuy fayu ak ñi nga xam ne dañuy jéggale ñooy yàlla daf leen taggal boppam ci alquranul karim bale amul charte xam nga xol yàlla moo fa ne xol duñ ko dee forcé moo tax diine joo manti dem mënoo forcé kenn ko dafay nekk julli tey alquranul karim dafa wax ne laa ikraha fi diine duñ ci forcé kenn yaay tànnal sa bopp soo nit ki tam àqam amul benn charte bu ñuy teg ci sa kaw ne mooy tax ngay bale unless soo ñëwee ci sharia am na yenn offense yoo xam ne dafa laal individual ba pare laal state foofu ci sharia dañ ko dee teqale individual bi lim moom sañ na koo bale waaye state bi it sañ naa bale waaye su ko neexee lim ci moom du tere mu punish borom loolu danay xew masalan tey su ma la ko joxoon ci misaal jëlal rey nit ci lislaam dafa wax ne su fekkee nit ki dafa rey nit biñ defee investigation si yëpp bam pare result biñ am mooy kii reyu tey la duhut rey gu niru tey duhut rey ak njuumte ndax rey ñetti façon la reyuk njuumte ak rey gu niru tey ak reyuk tey bi ci gën a dangereux bi gën a garaaw sharia bañ ko mooy reyuk tey mooy koo xam ne biñ ko xoolee gis nañ ne xelam mi defe ne li mu ngi dara nekku ci dafa tëkku borom dem jëli paakaam def lam def amul dara daal benn ngànt ci wàllu health wàllu dara daal soo bu boobaa dañuy jàpp ne reyuk tey la suñ ne reyuk tey la sharia li mu wax mooy kii de dañ ko war a rey waaye dafa am charte feeg ñi moom deretam ñi ko war a doon jéggale huñ waaw dañ ko war a rey feeg ñi moom deret ji jéggale huñ ok léegi nit ku dee ku ne am na ñu la war a doon suñ laajee ñi war a doon ñëpp nañu ne ñun daal jéggale nañ mooy buñ ko rey foofa dafa am nag charte même soo ne jéggale nañ nag borom duñ ko firi noonu rek mu dem dafa am nag luñ koo teg charte buñ ko teg mooy am na amount of money boo xam ne fi mu ne daf ko war a fay pour ñi nga xam ne ñooy dono yi ñoom ñoo koy moom amount boobu nag forcé mu def ko wala nga xam ne reyin bi dafa ànd ak caay-caay reyin buñ plan defin bu ñaaw ñëpp ne jéggale nañ state bi ne yees jéggale ngeen waaye kii il faut ñu discipline ko ñu def ko nangam ak nangam pour discipline ko ndax society bi dañ ci am àq réew mi dañ ci am àq te society bi kenn mënta wax ak ñëpp te àq ji ci society bi am state bi sañ na moom mu penalise kooku nga xam ne def na donte ñi moom deret ji ñoom jéggale nañ waaye bu dul loolu jéggale amul charte kuñ tooñ awalan comme sax ni nga ko laajee baax na kiñ tooñ awalan dana njëkka def investigation ndax dëgg-dëgg tooñ biñ ko tuumaal dëgg la wala déet because soo ñëwee ci charia dañuy wax ne te loolu loos yépp a ko wax dañuy wax ne deri doomu aadama dafa set balaa ñu ko tilimal da nga ko war a proof li koy tilimal dañ ko war a proof kiñ tuumaal ne dafa tooñ il faut ñu def thorough investigation ba mu wér ne tooñ gi sax na loolu li muy jëriñ mooy kiñ tooñ ñaare suñ ko nangulee ne tooñ nañ la loolu dafay wàccee tension am suñ ko wonee nag tooñ nañ la ba pare amatut du forcé ne forcé nga jéggale wala forcé nga fayu ñaari daal benn du ci forcé nga jéggale amut forcé nga fayu amut ndem wér na ne lii suma àq la dañ la ko war a jox lay tax duñ la ko jox yow yaa koy bale alquran karim dafa ne fa in aaqabtum fa aaqibu bi mithli ma uqibtum bi voilà waaye nag wala in sabartum suñ leen tooñee fayu leen lu tolloog liñ leen tooñ su ngeen muñoon nag moo gën kon wax naa la ne fayu duñ ci bileem kenn parce que charia moo ko njëkk a tëral ne kuñ tooñ sañ ngaa fayu waaye sañoo xa fayu lu ëpp liñ la tooñ su boobaa fayu duñ ci bileem kenn kii dafa bon kii dafa soxor kii dafa nangam non wala ñu ne du jullit ku wax loolu yow xamuloo dafa mel ni sax yow ci sa bopp yow yaay challenge tëralinu diine waaw jullit pire la ndax lim def diine moom moo ko sant amuloo ci benn bàkkaar duñ la ci bindal benn bàkkaar because li ngay def yépp mu ngi tegu ci kaw yoon xam nga ki jéggale for exemple jëf ju baax la def balaa moo jéggale ki muy jéggal mu ngi tiitoon lool xam ne lu ne mën nañ ko cee def wax nañ ko sax liñ la war a def su fekkee ne jéggaluñ la mu tiit kook ñëw defal la teraanga am xol bu rëy jéggal la liñ séentu mooy ànd bu rafet moo war a am ci kanam ànd bu rafet bi mooy kiñ jéggal dafa war a delloo njukkal lislaam dafa bëgg suñ la defalee teraanga ngay delloo njukkal yonent bi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mu ne su la nit defalee teraanga mu ne nanga ko delloo njukkal mu ne soo ko mënta delloo nanga ko ñaanal ba mu xam ne gërëm nga kon ki nga xam ne moom moo tooñ ñu jéggal ko nga bokk di dund ak ki la jéggal ci dëkk bi nga mën koo gis daf dee rafet toujours sax nga dem siyaare ko sëñ bi yow de jërëjëf ñu ngi lay sant yow de ñu ngi lay ñaanal te bu ko yëgee bu ko yëgut danga ko war a ñaanal ci an zahril ghaybi te sax gisoontewu leen because defal na la teraanga foo dajeeg moom nga ormaal ko yëkkati ko donte moom yàlla moo tax mu di ko def lii taxutoon mu di ko def because kiy jéggale dafa war a jéggale ngir yàlla waaye warta jéggale ngir kii di ma jaamu si nag wala di dogo ci suma gannaaw bu boobaa loolu nekkatul jéggale definitely kiy jéggale da ngay jéggale ngir yàlla even sax gisatuloo kooku déggatuloo ko téléphonut la bàyyiwut la xel bul rëccu dara ci li nga ko jéggaloon because yàlla moo taxoon nga di ko def te yàlla dina la fay àq dafay am ñaar àq li individual bi moom right bi individual moom ak right bi nga xam ne state bi moo ko moom moo tax am na yenn defin state bi waru koo bàyyi noonu déedéet because dafa war a teacher lesson dafa war a jàngale lesson boo xam ne dana teach mboolem ñi koy gis ñi koy xam pour lii bu ko fi kenn defati waaye su fekkee ne jëf ji dafa dangereux dafa bon lool yëpp rek ñu bàyyi ko mu dem amul benn sikk ne loolu dana ñemeloo nit ñi nga xam ne tooñ moom lañ gën a jegeñ ci ñàkk a tooñ am na yenn offen waruñ ko bàyyi noonu rek mu dem non borom dañ la am na nu offen bi toll borom dañ ko war a discipline nag state bi daf ko war a discipline even nit ki jéggale na comme ni ko diine di defee loolu la ñuy tuddee taazir mën naa sax ëppa li ko loo bi doon teg maanaam taazir mooy yaraate man ngaa yaree nit sax lu ëpp li nga xam ne original loo bi loolu lañ ko doon teg ngir defin ba caay-caay ci defin ba ñu yaree ko noonu masalan TRRC area bi nga xam ne moom la ñoo treat mooy li gën a dangerous ci offense waaw ay tuur bakkan tuur deret ay rey yu garaaw yooyu noonu masalan jéggalante lu baax la waaye to some extent am na yenn fu mbir di àgg diine nag du kontaan pour ñu bàyyi lépp noonu rek mu demee noonu mooy diine te diine it noonu la koy defee te yonent bi sallallahu alayhi wasallam it noonu la ko doon defee society li koy defar mooy individual bu ne dafa sas boppam ne lii defar society moom la war lu yàq society mu bileem ci boppam su boobaa dootoo faaleeti lu ñoo tuddee head of state dootoo faaleeti ku ñoo tuddee jawriñ ministre bi yore nangam wala nangam yow da ngay build government ci sa boppa ne yow yaay Gambia lu baax yow la lu yàqu yow la su ko defee doo seetaan kenn doo bileem kenn yow loo gis lu yàqu rek nga jóg pour defar ko loo gis ñu war koo defar nga jóg defar ko ba pare di ci ñaax nit ñi kon yéen su ngeen jógee ci façon yi jéego bi dëgg-dëgg danañ leen sant pour prepare mind ni nit ñi wàllu diine wàllu culture wàllu lu nekk ba nga xam ne any decision bi ñuy jël si ëllëg dafay nekk lu baax ci individual si baax ci society bi te mooy baax ci réew mi képp kuy def loolu ñun dañ lay sant dañu jàpp ne ñun ngay dimbale ci suñ liggéey di leen ñaanal yàlla defal leen jàmm te def seen liggéey bi mu successful te yàlla bindal leen ci tiyaaba wasalaamu aleykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Sylvester Jame. I am the Vice Chairperson of the Pastors Alliance in the Gambia, and I also volunteer at the Gambia Christian Council. In Christianity, forgiveness is the conscious and deliberate release of resentment or vengeance against somebody who might have hurt you. So it is deliberate. Forgiveness is part of the underpinning principles in Christianity. It is part of the fundamental teachings in the Bible. We are asked to forgive. And in forgiving, you are not waiting to see whether the other person deserves the forgiveness or not. Forgiveness in Christianity is part of the whole equation. Because Christianity, when you summarize it to one word, is love. And what is love? Love is to forgive and to give until it hurts. In fact, Jesus was asked a question. They said to Jesus, this young man, this guy is hurting me and hurting me. How many times should I forgive? Jesus said 70 times 7. He had a meaning in saying that. 70 times 7 is something that you can decode. What does it mean? 7 is the number of completion. It says forgive, forgive when you feel that you have completely finished the cycle. He says begin again. At some point, it becomes a habit. That's the idea. At some point, it becomes a habit. You just naturally forgive. In Christianity, the conditions of forgiveness, love is unconditional. So if I want somebody to meet some conditions before I forgive, then that would defeat the purpose of love. Because God loves us unconditionally and he wants us to love others unconditionally. So forgiveness is part of the love equation. And so if I want to allow or expect somebody to meet conditions before I forgive them, then I am saying my love is conditional. But that notwithstanding, I will quote a scripture. There's a scripture that goes like this. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Now, when we consider that scripture, there is the initial part of it that says, if we confess. So that means with that particular scripture, confession precedes forgiveness in that scripture. But when I now connect that scripture with the unconditionality of love, I would say, don't wait for somebody to meet any conditions before you forgive them. Even though they should be able to recognize and acknowledge their wrongs, let's just go out and forgive. If a person that is wronged or a person that is hurt is obligated to forgive, God does not violate the volition of men. God has given men a free will. People can choose to do what they want. People can use their volition. God will never force them. God's will be for people to forgive. God's desire will be for people to forgive. But of course, people have a free will. They can either allow their will to be lost in the will of God, or they can hold on to it, to their will, and do as they choose. But of course, we know both ways there are consequences and there are ramifications, if I may put it that way. So a person can choose to forgive or choose not to forgive. It's the individual's choice. But God would prefer for us to forgive, because the Bible tells us that if we do not forgive men their wrongs against us, then God will not forgive us. So I will choose whether to forgive or not to forgive, but when I don't forgive, then I should not expect to be forgiven by God. If a person decides or chooses not to forgive, whether the person would be less of a religious person, I would say no. Why? Because we are all human beings. We are not complete. So if a person chooses not to forgive, it does not make them irreligious or less religious. It reveals that they are in need of support, they are in need of counseling, and all of that. And it is not our place to judge them, but we will rather realize that they need support. So what's next between a victim and a perpetrator, after forgiveness takes place? What is next? Well, number one, there can be a continuous dialogue. Dialogue can continue to take place. And what the dialogue will help, meet is this. The perpetrator will begin to realize the kind of situation in which he or she have placed the victim. The perpetrator will begin to see through the lens of the victim as the dialogue continues. And that will help the perpetrator to know how to respond, to know what to do, to help out, to be a part of the healing process. And that is essential. That is so important. Now, on the other side, the victim will also realize that this guy is maybe not a very bad guy after all. I am beginning to see maybe some reasons or some things that might have caused what he did. So there will be understanding. What next, after forgiveness between the perpetrator and the victim? In the Bible, there is something called restitution. Restitution. What is restitution? You stole from somebody. You took somebody's land. You took somebody's property. Now, if the person forgives you and you have realized your mistakes, you return that to the person. If it is a land, you give it back to the person. You give back. But there is something that cannot be given back, and that is life. If somebody dies, there is no way for restitution with death. And the dialogue will take place. The two sides will begin to heal up. Healing is preceded by forgiveness. Does forgiveness mean impunity? Well, no. Why am I saying that? Yes, in Christianity, you can forgive. And forgiveness, like I said, is part of the equation of Christianity. But of course, Christians live in societies, and the societies that Christians live in have laws. Now, the laws of the societies or the countries where Christians live, those laws must be executed. Those laws must be carried out. So, in other words, I am saying, Christians, yes, forgive, but if they live in countries that are not theocracies, Gambia, for example, is not a theocracy and is not an Islamic state. Yes, we might call for forgiveness, but there is due process with the things that happen in nations. So we must allow the law to be played out. But apart from that, I would also say that there is something called the combination of judicial convictions plus compassion. And that is where Christianity would come in. Yes, there are judicial convictions. A judge can say, according to the law, this is what must be done or should be done. Christianity says there are convictions, yes, but compassion combined with convictions is a great deal and will help the healing process and will generate peace. So forgiveness does not necessarily mean impunity in our world. We don't live in theocracies. I mean, the Gambia is not a theocracy, and it's not a Christian country. So the law would take its course.
We have had Dr. Babagale Jallow, Executive Secretary at the TRRC Secretariat, tell us about the plans and preparedness of the TRRC and what they expect from this government, from the people, and from the victims themselves post-TRRC. We have also had Mr. Adama Jallow, the National Coordinator of the Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations, commonly known as the VC, telling us what victims expect, what they as an institution expect, and the work that they are doing in making sure that come post-TRRC, when the recommendations have been put forward, we are all on the same page. We have also had our religious experts, Imam Usmanja and Pastor Sylvester Jame, tell us what the scriptures really say about forgiveness. And we hope that that has been very informative and helpful. We hope that this will bring more clarity and unity in our journey towards the Gambia's transitional justice process. We thank you for your kind attention.